we were suffering as kids and seeing my mom work so hard to just put the bare minimum for us on the table and sacrifice everything to put us in very good schools on a very small salary. It is something that has taken on as a person. I only employ, at first choice, I would employ a woman. It's not about the big five. You'll find the big five that you'll find everywhere, but Uganda gives you the big eight. And what are the three? That would be the chimps, the gorilla, and the people. So the biggest sell point of Uganda is its people. It's not going on a safari where you feel like you are in a zoo or you're just traveling through. You fall in love with not only the people, but its landscape.
Hello, and welcome to the Travel Growth Podcast. I'm Tom McLaughlin, founder of North9, and this is where I speak to successful travel business leaders and dig into the successes, challenges, and learnings from their experiences over the years, so you, the listener, can take away actionable advice to improve your own businesses and maybe even lives too. My guest today is a powerhouse entrepreneur in East African tourism, a multi-award winning lodge owner, and the visionary force behind Nkuringo Safaris, where she spent nearly 2 decades proving that luxury travel and deep community accountability can go hand in hand. From her early days as a junior researcher scouting the Ugandan wilderness to taking the reins as CEO and scaling a globally recognised brand, Lydia Eva Mpanga is a trailblazer who's redefined what it means to be a woman leading in the safari industry. Lydia gives loads of insights in this conversation, from how Nkuringo have built a team that constantly goes above expectations and that dances together at the end through the challenges, to how community and conservation are embedded in their business model and how it's had a direct commercial impact on their incredible growth trajectory. Lydia's story is a unique one, no doubt, and she gives us some insight into how her upbringing as one of 5 daughters to Kenyan and Ugandan parents has given her the qualities to take on the tourism world and come out on top. Please enjoy my conversation with the truly remarkable Lydia Eva Mpanga. Lydia, hello, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Tom. It's
Very
been
excited
a while
to have you.
now.
Yeah, excited to have you on. Thank you for making
you
the
for
time to
having
do
me.
it. And looking
Yeah.
forward to hearing a little bit more about you and your journey to starting Nkuringo, what you're doing now. Because I know you've been on a journey to get here. So I'm excited to dig into it a little bit more. I thought maybe we could start with kind of going all the way back when we talked a little bit beforehand. You were talking about being one of 5 daughters in the family. Maybe you could take us back there to the beginning and kind of tell us how you went from that to setting up Nkuringo.
Okay. So, like I said, I'm a firstborn of 5 girls, and my mom was a secretary who worked so hard to put the 5 of us, the 5 girls, in school. And I always tell people that from the tradition African society, a woman who just gives birth to only girls will be like totally not looked after well, and the kids are not respected. But our mother pushed us through, and all me and my siblings were able to get degrees, and were able to get state scholarships, and that's how we were able to get a degree. So I have a degree in social work, and also I have a degree in law. And it has really shaped who I am as a person, because I from how we were suffering as kids and seeing my mom work so hard to just put the bare minimum for us on the table and sacrifice everything to put us in very good schools on a very small salary. It is something that has that I've taken on as a person. I only employ, at first choice, I would employ a woman. So that's one thing. Most people call us Nkuringo Girls Company, because most of us are ladies. But to me, why I do employ women, I feel like if my mother had not had a job, if she did not have any single skill, I wouldn't have had the education that I have had. And so I try my level best to make sure that every girl child gets an equal opportunity at a workplace, and then they're able to build a career and be able to look after their families, because that's where I come from.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what a job she did. Tell us so you grew up, you had education, you went to university, studied social work firstly, I believe.
Yeah.
What happened after you had your degree that took you to starting a travel business?
So I always say it was 2007. It was February. I had just finished my university and I was graduating in a couple of weeks. And as in Uganda, for public transport, we call it a taxi. So I was scrambling for a taxi on a one rainy day, going back home, having collected all my documents, and in a couple of weeks, I would be a graduate and ready to go for job hunting. And that's when I met Robert Briley, who was my boss at the time and also became my business partner later in the day. So we were all just fighting to get into the public transport. He was heading to a backpackers in a place called Bugolobi. I was heading home. So we just happened to have a conversation, and he asked me, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "No, I don't have a job, but I'm graduating in a couple of days." And so from that conversation, he asked me, "What do you want to do?" And I used to think I'll be like someone, like a professor somewhere. I'll be teaching, I'll be a researcher. So I told him I would love to do research and write proposals to support the needy people to be able to get grants and improve on welfare. So that was my dream. So he's like, "Oh, I'm running an online travel guide to Uganda." And I'm like, "Okay." I did not know anything about travel. So we started talking. He gave me his business card. I jumped into the nearest internet cafe at the time, checked it out, and sent him an email. I'm like, "Research is research. Tell me what you want to do, and I'll collect for you the data." So the next couple of days, we had a meeting, and he hired me as his research assistant for his online travel guide. It was called the Uganda Travel Planner. And what we used to do was marketing of small campsites that didn't have money to go onto the internet with a website. So they would have a small web page. Then I would update their information that if a tourist is coming to Uganda, they are able to read about all these little small camps that were across the country. And that was my first introduction to tourism. So I became an online travel guide researcher. I did that job for about 6 months. And when we went to a small place called Kisoro, and that's close to Bwindi, we had gone to update the travel guide for the Bwindi sector. And there was a small community that owned a little campsite, and they wanted someone to support them with marketing. So we discussed how to help them. By the time the gorilla permits were just very few, the gorillas in Uganda and Rwanda were just like 700 of them, and about only 4 gorilla families habituated by the year 2007. So the scramble for permit was high. And that is when Robert then suggested to this local guy, and like, "You can do walks. You guys walk every day. You have beautiful grounds. Why don't you do walking safaris?" And the guy is like, "Okay, we can do this." And then eventually Robert turns to me. It's like, "Oh, Lydia, do you fancy to be a director with this guy?" And I'm like, "Director? Become an owner of a company?" So it was just fate. It was not like a planned thing. So we discussed with the guy. I tell him how our company is created. And we started Nkuringo Walking Safaris, which
And
was,
what year was
pardon?
that? What year was
That
that,
was
Lydia?
it's still 2007 now in
Okay.
November. So I
Okay.
graduated in 2007 February. Now 2007 November, we form a company. And then yours truly, I become a partner in a business with a local guide. And he used to work as a UWA ranger guide. So he was very familiar to tourists. And we recruited a few people. I was supporting them with the internet because I lived in the city. They lived in the rural community. So I could receive all the emails. And every evening they would stand on the top of a hill somewhere up a signal to be told that you have a client that wants a walk. And In the early 2000s, like let's say in 2007, Uganda was purely backpacker area. So most of our clients came by bus to the nearest bus stop, and then the guide would meet the client, and then they would just go on a walking safari through beautiful landscape. And our motto from then has always been in harmony with nature. So we would say we're taking you on off the beaten tracks. You are on village paths. You're meeting people firsthand. You're not just waving at the locals in the bubble of the vehicle, but you're able to come out and immerse yourself with the culture of the people. So we would walk the clients to this little campsite. It was a very, very small campsite. It was a pitch a tent and sleep kind of campsite. And then we would just make meals over a campfire. And from that campsite, clients started asking for better facilities. So Robert and I took over lease on the campsite because the community guys say they didn't want to run a lodging facility. So we took on a lease that was around 2008. So we signed up a 15-year lease to support the campsite. So we'd pay and also employ the locals who worked for us. So it was really, really basic. It was bucket shower style. Most of the clients were walking clients. They were really pure backpacker business that we were doing. People would pitch a tent for less than $3 a night. And our turning point was sometime in 2009. In 2009, we got a group of 6 Swiss bankers that wanted to do the Nkuringo walking safari. Yeah, so around 2009, as we were running a walking safari, backpacking, pitch a tent, camp, we got a group of Swiss bankers that wanted to experience the Coringo walking safaris, which is literally walking on foot out of the bubble of a vehicle, through local villages, into a forest. And these were high-end clients that were sleeping in 5-star properties, but then came to visit our little campsite, and all meals, like I said, were being prepared on a campfire and stuff. So that marked the turning point. We realized that the Nkuringo walking safari was not just an activity, but it could extend to other parts of the country. So that's how we became a DMC for both Uganda and Rwanda in around 2009, 2010. And then we had to start investing a bit in the vehicles that we could now use to take clients from point A and point B. Then around 2013, we started a small guest house in Entebbe, 2012, 2013, where now we could handle clients from arrival in Entebbe, put them in a 2-bedroomed small guest house, and then drive them to all the other parts of the country. So to us, that was the start. So it's the Swiss bankers that gave us that little capital. Like I mentioned, the trip was it was charter flights and big lodge commissions, and that gave us the first, let's say, startup capital into our safari journey.
Okay. Fast forward to now and just give us a summary of what Nkuringo looks like now. What's the operation look like? How many people are in the team? Kind of, yeah, give us a bit more of a present day, so we've got the reference point of how it started and where it is now.
So present day Nkuringo Safaris, we are, let's say, I met someone who said we'll be among the top 10 in the country. We're running our own fleet of about 15 Land Cruisers with our own garage in Entebbe. The head office has over 25 employees. Majority of them are female, like I said. Then I have the lodge in Bwindi employs over 40 people now. It's no longer a campsite. It's now a mid-high range accommodation with rooms ranging between $600 and $900 a person a night. So from a $50.
Is that where the campsite was?
That's where the campsite was.
Wow.
So then we have a new property coming up in Chivale, which is Mirima Chivale Lodge, also adding on to the premium accommodation within the area. So Nkuringo has totally grown, employing over 100 plus people. And majority of them are people I started with that came in when we were still backpackers. So they've been part of the journey, and they fiercely protect this business because they've seen it from nothing to something. So we are very proud.
Yeah, rightly so. What's been the secret to that growth and evolution?
For me, I think it's the motivation has been the people. To know that there are people that depend on me working hard for them to survive was the first motivation. So as long as I have my team and I know that I'm putting food on a table in someone's home, to me, that has been the motivation to grow. To know that it's not just me, it's a community of people, that benefit from just the Nkuringo product. So to us, that has been the motivation. And every year, even the team, if one of the staff member saw a broken window, they would call me directly to say, Madam, our window is broken. We don't want to go back down. So for us, it's a team of motivated people that keep us going, and knowing that the value chain is benefiting. That's our motivation.
Yeah.
Um,
You you said earlier about the team being predominantly female, and obviously that's been a really important thread to your whole journey through all of this from when you were younger. How have you tell us more detail about how you've built the team and how you've taken, I guess, a lot of people who maybe aren't formally educated to running a business in that way that you're talking about.
So for me, I think what stands out when I'm employing someone is the need for the job. Because I know I can train a skill, but I cannot train a character. So if someone has what it takes to do the job and they feel like this job is life-changing to them, that is the first one reason I employ you. Then I'll look through your academics later. But do you really need this job? So that would be, in most cases, even when I don't have a placement and a person is in need of a job, it's the first point of reference for me to say, okay, you need this job. That means you're going to do so much to prove to yourself that you can do this. You're not qualified for the job, but the fact that there is something deep inside you that believes being employed would change your life. So that has been my ways of recruiting the different people I work with in the community and also in the head office. But like I said, when you train a woman, you've trained a nation. So with the money that goes to a female serves a wider community. So that's why I try my level best to have more female employed in a space where it was mostly the boy child that went to school and not the girl child.
Mm.
And knowing that I can train the girl child into a basic skill like housekeeping, service, where already they have what it takes, which is the personality, the smile, the hospitality, being hospitable and stuff. All I need to do is just polish on the top, and then they are able to do the job. So for me, it's more of empowerment, not only for women, and also we employ lots of male because all our walking safari guides are male. These are guys in the community that have walked in this, who have protected the forests for so many years, and they call them home, and they're able to walk with the tourists and show them the medicine they use when they are sick. So it's not only the women, I also try to balance that the male child or the youth in the community are also employed, so there's balancing in a home.
Mm.
So that's what I would say.
Have you had any challenges along the way with the process, or has it just worked in that everything syncs together in that you're in the community, you're part of the community, and you find the right people? I'm just interested. I'm thinking about my own experiences, and yeah, finding the right people to build a team is always a tricky thing. Have you had any bumps along the way with that process?
Yes, we have. We've really, so for example, like maybe in employing of the male, because we've had that in the beginning, the managers will be someone who is educated, and then you have to find it would be a male, then I'm a female. And then this one time I employed a manager that came to me and said, um, by the way, I don't like working with women. Could you please reduce on employing women? And I'm like, but you're speaking to a woman. And the guy just laughed because it hadn't clicked that the CEO is actually female. So
Yeah,
we
wow.
have those elements where you're looked down upon because you're a female, or you cannot, someone thinks you don't understand what you're doing, and they believe being the male, they'll be more dominant. So that has been a bit there, but over the years, they have realized female leadership is actually good.
Yeah.
So the guys are falling in line, and we work as a team now. So there's no male, there's no female within the company. Actually, the women become more dominant
Yeah.
because we have the CEO on the top. So we've had challenges. So we've had staff leave because of such, whereby the person feels like, no, it's a female-run business. Like, I don't find my place in this space. We've also had issues of skills, especially in a small village like in Coringo, where the level of education is not past the uh, year 9 of education, and the kids are not going into skilling, and the girl child is kept in the garden to support the farms and things like that. That has affected in who you get. So you find that you spend a lot of time to teach the basics of English, or the signing or writing a document, or even opening up a bank account, because you're dealing with the illiterates in the community. But over time, we are seeing they learn better, they push themselves, they embrace training, and now they're very good employees and part of the team. So
That
just
must be
like you,
that
I'm
must be
saying, just like any business, you would have challenges. We all do.
of course we do. Yeah, absolutely. That must be a very inspirational thing for people in the area as well, who can see that there's now an opportunity to go and do that thing and maybe pay more attention, especially if the young girls and people, suddenly they see there is an opportunity. If they can go in that direction, they can see what's there and what you've done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, what tell us a bit more about I guess the kind of, you're such a purpose-driven organization. We've talked about the kind of female empowerment aspect of what you do, but there's lots more to what you do, and the Gorilla Junction Foundation. Tell us a little bit more about all these different threads that you have that are supporting the local community.
Yeah. Like I mentioned before, my first profession, I'm a social worker. So being a social worker, it has helped me a lot because I deal with people, but also at a needs assessment level. So if I'm providing support to the community, it's not about just putting up something for them, but also understanding exactly what the community needs. I'll give an example that sometime maybe 5 years ago, before I made the foundation a key element of the business, we used to give out support to the communities. And this one time, I had read about something in a twinning of toilets somewhere, and I felt like the best way I could help the Batwa. The Batwa, these are the community, the pygmies that lived in the forest, and then they were chased out of the forest. They are the marginalized people. They do not have land. They don't have so many things. So I felt like helping the Batwa. I think I need to build for them quality toilets in the, so that they have a place like, primary health care. Every community should have at least a good toilet. So I fundraise money, and I start constructing a toilet. I select like 5-10 homes, and I'm going to build toilets for each of these homes. And in the middle of the construction, the builders were attacked by the Batwa. And they were like, how do you build for us a toilet that is better than the house we sleep in? And I remember telling the guy, stop the construction. Stop it, stop it. Their need is not actually a good toilet. These guys, we're giving them quality toilets, but they have nowhere else. They don't have housing. So through the community center, we are able to study the community, understand the needs of the community. And I found out that the best way to support them is through the skilling. If I put up a community center where the kids have a library to read from, the mothers have a place to sell their crafts, they're able to gain more skills, then they're able to make their own money and not survive on handouts that do not respect their needs. And when they make their own money, they're able to provide for themselves as per their needs. And that is how we formalized the community center. So I invested more than $150,000 of my savings, and I said, let's give back. Sometimes we fundraise from people, but I said, let this be our give back. Let's put up a center, and once the center is up, supporters will come and support either with the skilling or the training, but the center should be there. And the community every single day, we're already now doing sewing projects. They go out there, they sew, they're making uniforms for schools. They're able to get income. And for me, that is where change is. That is where development comes from. When we empower the people to make their own money, to be able to look after themselves at their point of need. So that is the story of the Nkuringo, the Gorilla Junction Foundation. And then we also built the center in memory of my business partner, Robert Briley. So the community center is called the Robert Briley Community Center, just as our way to give back and try and see that everyone is able to improve their lives at their point of view, not from what we think of them. Because sometimes you're taking for them shoes, but the need is not the shoe. They have no food at home and you're giving them the shoes. So that has helped me try to direct the community or the support towards them supporting themselves and us just giving them a push towards that direction.
Yeah. And how is that structured with the main business? Is it kind of what you make from the main business, kind of some of it goes towards the foundation, or you mentioned it sounded like it was your personal money that you put into building the center? Like how do you structure that thing? I think that's always an interesting thing. I find that interesting because we're doing something similar.
So for me, once the center was built, it's run as a different element of the business. It's not owned by the Nkuringo Lodge. It's owned by the members of the foundation. It's a community-based organization. So being community-based, it means it's owned by the community. It's not my center. I invested in it, but it's not mine. But every clientele that sleeps at the lodge, we have set aside $10 per person per night towards the running of the community center, because sometimes it's so hard to find help, but we already have a business. So we try to make sure that the business still continues to support. And also from our safaris client, every booking that we sell out, we also put every booking has a $10 to $20 contribution towards the running of the center. And we've also had support from the Rotary Club in Canada, somewhere, that helps us with teachers that come to teach professional sewing to the women so that they can produce factory kind of garments that they can sell on to tourists. That also supports the center to survive on its own. So we're trying to push the center towards sustainability and less of depending on me as Lydia, but be able to survive on its own, have its own resources, and be able to run without us having to keep giving them handouts. So that's where we are pushing the center towards independence and not dependent on Nkuringo business. So the two are separate entities.
Okay.
Yeah.
You also do a lot on the conservation side as well, and I know involved with the Uganda Wildlife Authority and kind of working out what to do and how to do things. Tell us more what you do actively from a conservation point of view at Nkuringo.
Okay. So in terms of conservation, actually, my take in conservation is totally different from so many people, because I tell people that when we think about conservation, everyone thinks about the wildlife and the animals and then how they're going to survive. But then they forget the human conflict with wildlife. And that's why you see that the community or the Gorilla Junction Foundation, we try to support the community in sensitizing them about the benefits of the forest, especially the mountain gorillas that bring an income within the community. So when they understand the benefits, the value chain of when a tourist goes to see the wildlife, then they are able to protect. They no longer go into the forest for poaching. They are able to survive because they're making an income on the outside from the tourism. So that's the level how I work with conservation, but also in encouraging tree planting. So for every client that sleeps in our lodge, we have a small forest area where we encourage every client for $20 to plant a tree. And someone from the community is monitoring the tree, watering the tree to see it grow, and then we give the clients feedback on how the tree has done. That way we are introducing reforestation within the community, so that if they're looking for firewood, they don't need to go into the forest. They can benefit from the trees that we have planted around the community. So that is the way we are working with conservation, but also with the Uganda Wildlife Authority. I'm going into partnership with them on gorilla habituation experience, investing in rangers to see that when they go out to the forest, they have the things they need, like the gumboots, they have the rain ponchos, they have the work tools for surviving in the forest during the exercise they do in making sure that the mountain gorillas are surviving. And I'll maybe add that when I joined tourism in 2007, there were only 700 mountain gorillas living in the world, and they were endangered. But as of today, the number of mountain gorillas has raised to 1,060. So that means whatever we're doing with the tourism, we are helping with the conserving and making sure this wildlife or the mountain gorillas don't become distinct. They still live. So that's how I work with the community. But like community conservation supports wildlife conservation. So when you bring the two together, once the community understand the benefit, then the wildlife will live on.
Yeah. It's a great way of framing it, because with what we do, we talk about the circle of everyone winning in the kind of process, and as if you can make it so everyone comes out of that process in a positive way, then you're more likely to keep those habits, and people are more likely to act in the way that you want them to act. So it's really interesting when you're talking about the incentivizing of tourism over poaching, and that can bring more personal reward to the people who were involved in that, and they're much more likely to change their behavior. Talk a little bit more about, because I think sometimes people think, if you're going to do good or involve conservation or community support, that's kind of like a tax kind of thing, like a cost to a business if you want to get involved in that. But, in a lot of instances from what I've seen, it's a way of bringing more money into the business, and it can have a positive impact on the financial side as well as the kind of on the wildlife conservation, the community, and so on. Do you believe that these activities that you've done that are focused on having a positive impact on the people and the environment have had a positive impact on the growth of Nkuringo from a commercial point of view?
100%, I'd say so. We have people that just come to Nkuringo because of what we do. So one person will come to book Nkuringo because it's a woman-run business, but also because we are community-based. And we try to put that out as much as possible, that whatever we do trickles down to the community. And that has attracted so many clients towards our product. And also, like I said, the walking safari, which is our niche product within the area, where our clients are getting out of the bub of their vehicles, walking on the footpath with the locals, taking photos at a personal level and not through the lenses of the vehicle or of the cameras in the vehicle. That has attracted a lot of clients to us because of what we're doing, because they know there is fair trade, because we are part of fair trade. And when they do, let's say, the canoe excursion on Lake Mutanda, they know, yes, Nkuringo is going to take an income, but the owner of the boat, on that very day they sit in that boat, is making an income. That has significantly increased our business and made us stand out as a business. When actually the other thing is that every time in the country when they are doing like an award ceremony on sustainability, it will be in Coringo. When you speak about sustainability, community work, support to the local, we take the awards first because we must be listed on that. So our doing good has really supported us a lot. And so it's the people benefit, but the business also grows. So yes, we have benefited from doing good.
Yeah,
A lot.
fantastic. Well, I mean, the evidence is there, isn't it, from
Yeah.
the growth that you talked about and the
Yeah.
beginnings of the business. You mentioned awards there. You've, as you said, you've won lots of awards, and repeatedly you've won Uganda's leading safari lodge at the World Travel Awards, for example. How I'm interested, especially given the sort of humble beginnings, how do you keep standards super high that allows you to win these awards? How do you, I guess there's a bit of a thing here of kind of luxury versus authenticity, like that, I'm interested in your views on that and how they combine and yeah, I don't know. Tell me a bit more about that, because you're clearly doing something right that is enabling you to win all of these awards.
I think it comes from the buy-in of your team. So, for example, I'll say this year, I had spent almost a year since last May to this May when I had not stepped at Nkuringo Lodge. I had not been at the lodge because I'm busy with the construction. And everyone is so surprised. They're like, you've spent a whole year without checking on the business on the ground. And I'm like, yeah, I've been busy with this construction, but the team on ground do not treat the Nkuringo business as Lydia's business. No. Everyone treats it as their own. So when a client comes in, you're not dealing with staff that are looking at a business as, oh, the owner is not here, so we could lax a bit and not do the right thing. No, the team on ground believe that Nkuringo belongs to them. So once you have the staff buy-in, once you have your team believe in the vision and fight for the vision and fight for the standards, the supervision part becomes so easy because it's now a doctrine in us to know if our client comes to us, they are not if they're expecting a value of $600, we're going to give them a value of $1,000. So that is a standard. That is what we train when we have our trainings as a team, that we must always give beyond expectation. So we have so many feedbacks that come back to us saying, oh, your rates are so low, but your service is on the level, say, of one and only, and yet your prices are so low. The team is trained to understand that it's not just about the money we make, but the referral business that returns to us gives us every kind of profits that we can make in the future. So we work so hard towards that. And that has helped us stay on the top of the business. But also with the travel awards, the voting is from the public and the trade. And if the public vote you every year, then it means you have created confidence. So they also know that Nkuringo must win this. We went there. When the clients leave the property, They leave a review on TripAdvisor. They had the best experience. They were looked after as babies. They've traveled all over Africa, but they have never felt so welcome. The service is so personal that it's not commercial. It is out of the heart. And how we sell it, we say, if you stay with us in Nkuringo, you will be able to experience the true hospitality of a Ugandan. We are good, smiley, happy people, and we pass that on to our clients. So everyone that stays with us, at least 80% refer another person to us. So that's how we have survived in business.
Yeah, wow, that is a high referral rate. Anything else? Any other? You mentioned the go above expectations tip in your training that you have there. Is there anything else that you really drive into your team through the training process that you think enables them to deliver such a good service?
I think for me, it's all about a sense of belonging for them to know that I got their back. So everyone in the team knows if their mother fell sick, if they had a problem, they have me as their backup plan, top on the medical and their salary bills and stuff like that. So for them to know I'm part of them, we are family, we are not just working, is something that has made us stand apart. Most people are so surprised. If you phone me with my team and I'm on the floor of the dining, I'm not shy as a CEO to be serving and passing on plates. I play team. I'm a team player. I work with them. I do quotations with them. I do trainings with them. So to them, they know if the CEO, who is the top, is able to come down and sweep the grounds and say, guys, we have a VVIP coming. Let's have everything neat. Let's have this. And I am working with them. That is their motivation. They know the standards I set. And if someone came in and changed even a chair to look somewhere, they would say, no. Our standards, our chairs look this way because that's where the view is and the client has to maximize it during their stay. So they have worked with me hands-on. I'm a hands-on person. I do not let them feel like I'm top up and they're below me. If it's a party, I dance with them. We love dancing as a as a team. And if it's a hard day, like we have issues around and it's been a very hard day at work, we would all walk out of our office into a club and I'm with my team and everyone is just surprised that like you're the only CEO who hangs out with your team. They're your friends, they're your buddies, you dance with them. They're part, if I have a party at home, they're part of my home team. So I think that has created the family that we are. So Nkuringo is a closed-in family. We protect each other and we try to make sure no one brings us down. We fight for that corner. We are a team. That's all I can say.
Yeah, love it. Hey, I feel like I want to come just for the team dance party. Yeah, I want to come and be a part of that.
We do celebrate. We love work, but we also play.
Yeah, fabulous.
Yeah.
It sounds amazing. We've touched on a few little kind of marketing points here. That the awards, the word of mouth. Is there anything else from a marketing point of view that has worked particularly well for you in terms of driving that growth that you've seen?
To me, I'll say finding SEO travel also did a very big change in our lives. So yes, it's now I have to get used to 9 North, not 9, 9 North. But,
sorry about that. Yeah, confusing things.
It's okay, but no, finding you, because it was just an internet Google search and things like that, and we settled with you because of the work you do. For me, it was all about the work you do in Kenya, the community work that you do, the giving back from whatever proceeds, because that's where my heart is as a person. So finding you and having all this PR we're doing with you guys, the team in PR, Mole and the others, and who am I, Lydia, to be appearing in Forbes magazine every now and then, in the Telegraph and stuff. So there are things that I have. Sometimes I see all these articles and I'm like, oh, that's me. That's my name. My name is appearing. like the big guys from Yale Zebras are commenting, and then there's Lydia Eva Mpanga also on the comments. So for me, that has been transformational to us. We have not invested too much into online marketing, but finding you guys changed how we looked at ourselves. We stopped thinking of ourselves as small players to, actually we can fit into the big ocean of the big boys. So I find myself juggling myself with the big boys in articles and stuff. So I'll say that has been good for our marketing. Very, very, very good. So we made a right choice. Sometimes you can limit yourself by thinking you can't push yourself hard, but we pushed ourselves to that space, and I'm happy we did, and we are hoping to push more. And the sky is the limit for us. Actually, even the sky can't limit in Coringo.
Yeah, I agree.
We're in for the big things.
For anyone listening, I promise that wasn't scripted, but I appreciate you saying it. And it's interesting going back to my question earlier of how has the impact side of your work had a positive impact for you from a commercial point of view. And to be, for us, it makes our job easy from a PR point of view, because you're doing all these wonderful things. There's so many stories to tell that you sit very easily in those articles, in those big publications that you mentioned. Whereas if you're a boring business just trying to make as much money as you can and you're the same as everyone else, it's much more difficult to get exposure and get chosen to sit there. So I think you wholeheartedly deserve to be sat next to those different names. And I agree, like the trajectory that you're on, I think there's so much more to grow into. I'm excited for you.
Oh, thank you.
It's interesting hearing you talk about being a small company and competing with the big boys. It's great to hear that mentality is evolving as well, but we know that Safari is an extremely competitive space. Is there anything else? I'm interested as how the balance of kind of DMC versus kind of tour operator and direct business from people has evolved over time. How has that impacted the growth of what you do? And is there anything that you look at that, I don't know, when you compare yourself to the big Safari brands that you're up against, that sets you apart? I mean, we've covered a lot of those things already.
Now, the biggest challenge I'll say is the budget. You see, if you are a small operation, you're competing for the same business share into the same market. So say everyone is coming in for the gorillas and stuff like that, but you have no budget. So let's say you're up against the big companies that have a big marketing budget. So that has been a limitation. Then also you have to invest into PR, not only media PR, but also a representation in the market source. And for me, being that I'm a Ugandan based in Uganda, sometimes I want to go on to a travel show and I cannot get a visa. I'm denied a visa. Then the visa, you're given only maybe a week's visa. Say you're going to Germany for ITB and you're only given 1 week in German, but that means you can't do the after sales, you cannot visit your partners and stuff. So that age is where we struggle at a point of view. But also finding, like I said, finding people like you that can put us on the internet and be able to compete through Google search, pay-per-click kind of competition gives us a momentum to reach markets we wouldn't reach because of nationality obstacles. Because if you can't get a visa, then you can't be in the source market. So that has been a bit of a limitation. But how we stand, let's say, at par with the bigger operation and stuff, for us, it's been in the quality of service that we give. We try our level best, knowing that the competition is high, to give as much as, like we say, we give you beyond your expectation. so that you also feel like, okay, they were the small ones, but they gave us personalized service. So I don't think I want to grow to levels of mass tourism. No, I still love it when we give personalized. Every itinerary we work on is tailor-made for a particular client, and we spare a lot of time because we don't do group set departures and kind of travels. We try to still stay personable and meet the client, talk to the client, brief every client, debrief every client at the end of the safari. So still that gives us an edge because we are on ground. We are Ugandans living in Uganda. We know all the corners. So that gives us an edge in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for, I guess, UK, US operations elsewhere who are using you as a DMC? Is there, have you got any tips that help make that relationship and that service better, that connection between the two that gives the client the best possible outcome?
For us, what we believe is that we are the ones on the ground, so we know the ground. So when we are dealing with our agents out there, we guide you. So if the agent comes and say, oh, my client has a budget of $10,000, it's not about the budget of $10,000. What's the client interested in? So we try to say, let's meet the client at the experience point of view. Sometimes money is just a figure, but then the experience, or we suggest the accommodation where we feel like they will feel more comfortable or closer to nature as per their wish list, like, or bucket list that they have. So we tend to speak more to our agents. So most of them know that we are very personal, and also we give them information that is on ground. Like, it's not about us making more commission on an accommodation. It's about whether that accommodation fits within the client's interest. So that if the client goes back, that agent also gets a referral, which returns back to us as Nkuringo. So we give them as much support. We have some agents who, before they start on any inquiry, they are on the phone with our consultant. I have a client, ABCD. This is what they're looking, and we guide you on how to deal with your client. So the client also feels like you, the agent, you are on ground. You're not giving them third-party information, but you're giving them first-hand information on the country that we operate in. And we do our DMC mostly in Uganda and in Rwanda. So we manage Uganda and Rwanda professionally, with also having a lodge on the edge of Bwindi, which is 4 hours drive from Kigali. We have vehicles based there, so that helps us manage both countries effectively.
Yeah.
Mm.
On the flip side, where does it go wrong then? So when is it just people not listening, people making it up without taking your advice? Like when are the moments where you're working with someone and an agent and it doesn't work out?
It doesn't work out mostly when people base it on a price tag. Like sometimes we've had situations. There's a time we had a client where we sold a small group departure based on 4 people, and a group came of 8. So they both had different cars, but the clients were not happy because they were told they're going to be just the 4 of them. So now the agent did not think about, maybe the agent thought about making more money on a commission on a bigger group. And in the end, the clients were not happy because there were not 4, there were 8 of them in this group. Even when they had separated cars, the clients were not happy. So in most cases, we had told the agent, let's divide the 2 groups. One starts from the north, one starts from the south, and they'd never meet because at the end of the day, it was different cars, different accommodation and stuff. So in spaces where the agent doesn't listen to ground advice, you find that the clients will come back complaining. But if the agent tells us, because most agents would alert us about the difficulty of a client depending on how they dealt with the client. So for us on the ground, we are prepared to make sure that the complicated client lives as a very happy client. So when we have a relationship and we're able to openly say, okay, guys, we overcharged these clients on A and B, but we expect them to be given Z. Like I said, in Coringo is not about making as much profit, but the feedback that comes back, the referral that we get is what we focus on. So once we know, then we know these clients are going to be given sundowners every single day. We will just make sure they are happy. By the time they go, they're now receiving beyond expectation because we knew what their expectation was and we decided that they are going to live happy clients. So when we have a good relationship with the agents, it helps us to go through each file in detail and meet every client at their point of comfortability. Or if a difficult client, we know how to pair them with a very good, calm guide. So also that the guide also matters. So if you don't pair the teams well, then the trip is destroyed. So the relationship is very key with our agents. We need to always be in contact. We need to know who their client is because they have the first interface with the client sometimes, and we just meet the clients for the first time at the airport. But if we have a folder on them, we know what, if the client is Tom, we know that, okay, Tom is so complex. He doesn't like talking to people. And then we make sure we give him a quiet guide.
Where did you get my file? You've talked about Uganda. I guess I'm still thinking about the marketing side of things here, and I guess I've seen somewhere you're talking about marketing Uganda as a destination where people maybe only think of it as kind of the gorillas. How have you done anything specific to do that? And I don't know, maybe you could tell us more about what people are missing when they're coming just thinking about the gorillas.
Yeah, because Uganda is mostly positioned as the gorilla destination. Like a half of the world's mountain gorillas live in Uganda, and the other half is in Congo and Rwanda combined. So we become like the key gorilla destination. But also Uganda is where most majority of chimpanzees are. So it's termed as the primate capital of the world. So all types of primates and stuff are in Uganda. But recently I had a group coming from Australia that did a farm trip with me, and one of the writer came back and said, Uganda offers you the big eight. It's not about the big five. You'll find the big five that you'll find everywhere, but Uganda gives you the big eight. And what are the three? That would be the chimps, the gorilla, and the people. So the biggest sell point of Uganda is its people. It's not going on a safari where you feel like you are in a zoo, or you're just traveling through. You fall in love with or not only the people, but its landscape. And for years we have marketed Uganda as the Pearl of Africa. And this goes back to Churchill writing back to the Queen of England saying, Uganda is indeed the Pearl of Africa because of its rivers, its lakes, and then the mountains. And Tom, for anyone who has not visited Uganda, it's a country where I always say its diversity gives you everything. You're going to see the gorillas, you'll see the chimpanzees, you're going to see the lions, the wildlife. Uganda, you can do a safari in a boat, in a canoe. You can do a walking safari. You can do all these things are all in one package. But Uganda is not well marketed. It is a country that has suffered a lot of negativity. I do not know why we surround that. You're going to find that Uganda is never thought about as the safe space. But when a client lands in Uganda, they'll say, okay, I felt safer in Uganda than I've ever felt in the tube in London or anywhere else in the world. And for us, we need to showcase Uganda for its beauty. It's not just about the wildlife, like I said, the great people that you meet, the excellent service that you get. You're not feeling like you're being watched as a tourist. You just become part of the ecosystem within the Ugandan safari experience. So for me, when I sell Uganda, I sell it with a lot of passion, because I know Uganda gives a client, even if it's a first-time traveler to Africa, they find Uganda they tick so many boxes. So from the bird life to the wildlife to the people to the primate to the landscape, the photos that you take back home after a trip in Uganda. If I've not sold your trip to Uganda, Tom, then I'm a bad saleswoman. That's all I can say.
Sounds good to me. I think I'm going to be on a plane before we've even finished this conversation from what we're covering. I guess it can't all be sunshine and rainbows. What have been the biggest challenges that you've faced through this amazing journey that you've been on and this growth that you've seen from the business? Like you touched on earlier, we all have our difficult moments. Like, what have been the biggest challenges that you've faced?
I think the biggest challenge we face as Uganda, I'm not going to just look at it at an Nkuringo point of view, but it's a countrywide. Okay, yes, we do have poor road infrastructure that most people would complain about, but also the negative travel bans that Uganda gets. In the height of anything, even if something is happening in North Libya, the first travel advisory will be, don't go to Uganda. It's not safe. So we have suffered travel bans. Even when Ebola breaks out in Congo, it has to be associated to Uganda, even when there are no cases of Ugandans on Ebola. Like just right now, you're going to find that Uganda will get the first hit. So we get a lot of travel bans into Uganda. Even when Rwanda shares the same border with Congo, Rwanda will be safe to travel to, and Uganda won't be safe. So that has been the biggest hurdle of running a business full of uncertainties, that you wake up in the morning, like this high season, we woke up knowing we're going to have a very good year. We're going to do very good business. Ebola in Congo, Uganda has travel bans. Then the whole business is shattered. And when you're surviving on tourism and you have a team of people that that need to be paid at the end of every month, these travel bans really, really affect our business. Mm-hmm. So for me, that has been the biggest challenge, that the uncertainties around travel into Uganda, the safety of Uganda through media propaganda, has been the biggest hurdle for me as a businesswoman. I would say there are moments I wake up in the morning and say, I am done. I'm done with tourism, because it's so fragile and it's so affected all the time. But then, apart from that, we've had good support, because the country supports the businesses. We've had good support from the government. But the negative from the outside world is the biggest effect we've had on our businesses.
Yeah, I spoke to David Guthrie from A Tent with a View in Tanzania, and he said the same thing. He said whenever something happens in Africa, everyone just views it as Africa, even though it's thousands of miles away. There's not even connecting flights or anything like that. It's just, one bad thing happened somewhere, and therefore we don't go there for however long.
It's tough, yeah. That's that's it, and it affects everyone doing business, not just me. Not just me. Yeah.
Anything else? Any other big challenges along the way that you've had to navigate? COVID was obviously a big one, and I think you somehow came out of that on the front foot with the plans for the new lodge and things. I don't know. Is there something about your mentality that keeps you positive in these moments and keeps you looking at growth rather than, I guess, on the back foot? Is that a Ugandan quality?
I don't know, but I always tell people that my mom raised me not to cry over spilled milk. Make a lemonade out of every lemon served at you. So for me, that is by my fallback. It's like, okay, it's bad, it's done. What next? What next? If I don't have hope for the future, then I give up. So I look at the brighter side. Like, for example, right now with Ebola and the bans, I'm saying, okay, it's given me more time to finish the lodge, to find finishes. I'll launch it. It will be the best lodge being launched, and that will be my fallback again. And maybe I'll make the money in the next season. So I'll say hope is a Ugandan thing. We are so hopeful as people. So we trade on hope. The future will be bright.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, it's a good mentality to have. That's it, isn't it? You've got to, you need something, especially as the leader in a business. You need something to keep the wheels turning, keep you going. So yeah, hope is as good as any.
Yeah.
What other personal qualities do you think have helped you do what you've done? Because there's not many female leaders of African tourism brands. From what I can see, you are quite unique and doing things out of the ordinary. What else do you think has contributed to that?
Okay. So I'm raised Ugandan and born to a Kenyan woman. So most Ugandans say my aggression is not Ugandan, because in spaces where a woman should not thrive, I have refused. I do not allow that. So in nature, I fight for my space. I am a fighter, Tom. I fight for my space. If my space is this, it can't be taken away from me. So I think I have an aggression inside me as a person towards business and making sure I don't step behind, but also the desire to be on the top. The desire to be on the top is something. I'm very competitive, and I do not allow to be looked at as a small person. I like feeling myself in big shoes. I like wearing big shoes. So that is something about me. And that's something I also train my team of, that you're not second best alternative. You are never an opportunity cost. You should be the best. So if there's an opportunity for you to shine, shine. Life there's no space. Actually, what I tell my kids, there's no space of mediocrity in life. You always have to stand out, and people must see you. And there's one time someone asked me, Lydia, do you think you have achieved everything that you want to achieve? And I'm like, no, I don't think so. I'll just feel that I've achieved when I don't have to make an appointment to go for a meeting, but the meetings call me. They can't happen when I'm not there. So that's when you feel like you have reached a level where you're recognized and you're able, your impact is being seen, and you're not struggling to find your ways up on the ladders and stuff like that. For me, that is something about me that is that pushes me harder. So yeah, that's yeah.
It's a good mix. It's a good mix. I guess you're pairing the things that you're talking about there, being competitive, the Kenyan aggression, these characteristics, but with social work and clearly
and
like lots of
empathy.
empathy and yeah, exactly. So I imagine your background in social work has kind of formed the type of leader that you are. Is that fair to say?
Yes, I would say sometimes like, when we're having a joke, you find like I'm like, Nkuringo sometimes is like a rehab center that anyone that has failed in life that is really struggling, I'll pick those ones up and then mold them into something and then tell them you can do it. You shouldn't sit on yourself and stuff like that. So my social work aspect, sometimes people say, oh, you're so empathetic, and that really plays around in a business sense. Most people think you're a businesswoman, you should just be shrewd, make money and stuff like that. But empathy has been part of what we are, and it's part of the main vision of Nkuringo. We are empathetic, we work as a team, we don't leave others behind, we thrive together. That is something that has helped me, that even when I feel like I shouldn't do or shouldn't have someone or have to fire someone, I'm empathetic enough to say, okay, you have done this, but if you improve on this, you can stay in employment. And I have seen people's lives change and people become the better versions of themselves. So yes, social work has helped me a lot.
How do you mentioned it earlier, your looking after people, the giving people a job is kind of life-changing for them. That's a lot of pressure to have on your shoulders. How do you how do you manage the pressure of that leadership and the empathy that comes with that, which, can be a difficult, draining thing?
It does drain a lot. It does drain a lot. Like I said, I would be a liar to say that there are no moments I've wanted to give up. There are moments I'll be like, oh God, this is too big for me. This is too much for me. I'm carrying too much baggage over myself. But like I said, when you do good, there are moments when so like when I go to the small village of Nkuringo and the local pygmy people see me and then they start drumming and then they are happy to see Lydia. And they have some songs they've composed, like they just say, oh, Lydia, thank you for coming. Safe journey, you had a good... And that alone lightens it all up. And you say, okay, this that seems like a big burden is a smile on another person's face. So for me, that is enough for me, deep inside me, to feel I still make the money. I'll not say I don't make the money. I live a quality life out of tourism. My kids have a good education. So it balances out. It balances out that there is something for me. It's not like I'm a sacrificial lamb that is sleeping in the ghettos and I'm not gaining anything out of... I've traveled the world. I have had a lot come back to me that I should be grateful that when I lead a team to prosperity, it's not them only. I'm also leading myself there. So it's not a big burden. It's
Yeah.
It can be overwhelming, but then very fulfilling.
Yeah. Yeah, it's back to that circle again of if everyone is winning and benefiting from what's going on, like you say, lots of good things have happened for you as well.
True.
You mentioned that you had your degree in social work and then also a degree in law. When on earth did you fit in a law degree while you were doing all of this and building the business?
Sorry. So for the law degree, actually, I did it during the 2020 when the lockdown came.
Okay.
And there was nothing left. And I was at that point of saying, okay, I put all my eggs in one basket, and that is tourism. And now the world has shut. There's no money coming. I used most of my savings to, like I said, to invest back and also keep my team afloat, because I could not just survive by myself and then they didn't have any income. So we had to survive together. But then I told them, you know what? Let me go back to school. So I went back to school in May 2020 for my law degree, which had been a childhood dream. So I decided if the world is shut, I had no work to do, let me try something else. I told them, you know what, if COVID doesn't end, after 4 years, we'll open up a law firm. So we start from somewhere else. So that was how I went back to law school. But I grew up with, my mom was a secretary in a law firm and my dad also worked as a clerk in a law firm. So my childhood dream was to be a lawyer. So when COVID hit, I was able to go back and nurse that childhood starvation of being a legal person, but also I'm able still to fight for my people legally using the law as I do also in social work advocacy.
Yeah.
So in case COVID ever comes back again, Nkuringo will be Nkuringo advocates. So
yeah. There's a
be a
good
legal
pivot.
team.
Yeah, a good pivot ready to go. You're like Richard Branson and Virgin, and it's just another strand. I mean, another great. We're talking about the empathy and the aggression and competition, and I guess the social work and lawyer are another two contrasting aspects there. I guess a couple of questions to sort of bring things to a close. I always try to look forward with people, and what are the plans for Nkuringo other than taking over the world and setting up a law firm and all these different kind of things? Is there what's on the horizon for things? How would you want it to grow? How do you? And that might be it, in the offering, but it might be the team, it might be the community. I don't know what's on the radar at the moment for how you want to develop it.
So right now we have the Nkuringo Safaris, which is our DMC, and now we have the Nkuringo Eco Collection, which is now collecting small premium accommodation with Nkuringo Lodge as one of them, and now the Mirima Chibale Lodge opening up. And we plan to do a small circuit of 4 properties across the country in Entebbe, in Chibale, in Queen Elizabeth, and Bwindi, just to close up that primate circuit. But also for me, my dream is for the staff to be owners of the company. That is where I dream. So every time I look through my team, I look through to see who is that person ready to be my partner. So for me, that's where I want to go. I want the business to be owned by the team. Over time, for them to either take in shares and stuff like that. So it's not like they're just working for me, but it stays within the team. So even when I get opportunity, when someone wants to buy me out, the first thing I think about is like, I'll make the money, but my team won't make the money. So that's where my dream is, to make sure that Nkuringo is owned by the team that works in the company.
Yeah, fantastic. How do you see it developing with the foundation, with the community aspects, the conservation aspects? You mentioned rangers there that you were paying for. Is that kind of set up just to run now in terms of what you're doing with it? Is there more ideas and developments there to be had?
Sorry. In terms of the community center and community works and stuff, that is still on the, let's say we're still on a crawling stage. We've just put up, like I said, a year ago. We are still trying to see that we bring in more course units, not just sewing. We want to help with business development, computer studies, and financing and banking. Maybe create a small community village bank, because there's no village with a bank within the community. They have to drive more than 3 hours to a town to even just withdraw money. So those are some of the things that we want to develop. So I find that the community center or the social work elements of my so this has nothing to do with the business. This is me as a person, is to develop it in a way that it becomes like a full center that helps people to get quality education, advanced education in small skilling, on-job training kind of opportunity. So that is we're still on baby steps. We've not reached anywhere with a dream there. We believe that once the center grows, it could become a small institute of its own, and so many people can benefit out of it. So it's still a growing project there.
Yeah, fabulous.
Yeah.
And then last one, I always finish with a kind of, if someone is starting up a travel business themselves, a DMC, a lodge, let's say it's in Africa, it's in Uganda, what advice would you give to them to help develop it into a good, sustainable business?
I always say this to people who are starting businesses, that the biggest mistake most people do is they don't research. They do not find out the gaps. So you're going to find that someone wants to open up a lodge today without thinking about the lodges in the neighborhood. So for me, my advice is always, if it's a lodge that you want to build, visit every lodge that you think is of the standard that you want to build. And then identify the gaps those lodges have so that you cover that in your business plan. The same thing with the safari business. If you are going to start a safari company, what are the limitations that the other safari companies have? What markets have they not explored? Then that gives you an edge over everyone else, instead of just falling onto a bandwagon, opening up a website and starting without doing your personal research. So that's the advice. If you're going to do a safari business, and let's say you're based out in the UK, first go on safari, come to Africa, see the safari, see the experience it yourself. Then think about your clientele based on what services you've been given. Then say, I'm trying to bridge this gap. When I was traveling, I wasn't given the following information. I can bridge this and maybe make better safari services in the business trend. So that's the advice I'd give. Explore what you want to do, experience it, sleep in the camps, see what the camps miss, meet the people that you're going to work with, understand the gaps, and then try to fill the gaps and not just add another company on the market.
Yeah.
That's my advice.
Excellent advice. I might extend this slightly further as well for you. Where is there any advice you would give to young, like young Africans, African women, even Ugandan women who are thinking of going into business? Like you've kind of blazed the trail here of with what you're doing. Yeah. Any advice you would give on that front?
No, for the young girls or the young boys who are still in school and stuff like that, one thing I've learned about business, like for me, tourism, I didn't study tourism. I did not study marketing. It's some things that if there's passion, you can learn on job. Okay. And finding mentors out there that can take you through their journeys, like we have gone through this journey, is also very helpful for any woman who is looking to do the same business as I. It's to understand the strength of a woman. To be honest with you, we are multitaskers. Some people ask me, how do you juggle so many things? I'm a mother of 3. I was able to go back to school for my law degree, and I run a business of over 100 people. That is only a strength of a woman. So for any woman who is looking to do business, they can do it because we multitask.
Yeah,
It's
the
a
world
skill
is.
that we have.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Love that.
Yeah.
Lydia, thank you. It's been absolutely wonderful to talk to
I'm
you.
so happy that eventually we've had this.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, a few false starts along the way, but no,
Yeah.
it's been really, really good. Is there anything else you would like to share or say, or yeah, I don't know, anything else you would like the audience to hear before we go?
I think the one thing I'd say that anyone that has not come to Uganda is really doing themselves a disservice. Uganda is a beautiful place. If you're looking for a holiday destination, something very different, unique, and personable, I think everyone should think about Uganda as their next destination. If you're an agent out there and you've never put Uganda as your product, please contact Nkuringo Safaris and we will help you develop a Ugandan product. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Well, you've convinced at least one person on this. That's what I'm doing after we get off the call. Thanks, Lydia. I really appreciate it. For
So
everyone who's
much.
listening, I think, yeah, go above expectations, dance with your team. Like, these are all so many good pieces of advice in there. So thanks for coming and sharing it with us.
Thank you.
Super. Thanks, Lydia.
Pleasure. Thank you. Bye.
And that's 8 and 9 done for season 3. One more to go. Massive thank you to Lydia for coming on and talking through her experience and her learnings and all the fantastic stuff that she's done. I don't think we've had an episode like that on the pod so far, and all the different perspectives that she gave. So I hope you found it useful, and I certainly had a lot of takeaways, not least wanting to go to Uganda. If you want to access the resources and information from that episode, go to north9.agency/podcast, and you can find that and also all the other episodes that we've done in season 3 and beyond. I also didn't mention their website on the recording, so if you want to go and find out more about Nkuringo, the website address is NkuringoSafaris.com. So that's NkuringoSafaris.com. And if you're a business in travel or hospitality looking for marketing support, then drop us a line and we'd love to find out more about you and see if we can help. Lydia was very kind to name drop a bit of the work together that we've done. So if you want a bit of that for yourselves, then give us a shout and we'd love to hear more and chat through it with you. You can also read more about our 100% initiative on the website, where we share the story behind how we give all the profit we make from our work with clients to educational charities and do our best to have a positive impact with the work we do together. One more to go. Stay tuned. It's a beauty to finish this season. It's been fantastic with all these wonderful people that we've spoken to. And until then, stay safe, keep exploring, and happy travels.